Welcome to Charity Therapy, the podcast where we explore the ups and downs of the nonprofit sector and answer your burning questions. I'm your host, Jess Birkin, owner of Birkin Law Office, and I'm excited you're here. Imagine hanging out with me and my super smart, funny nonprofit expert pals. You get to ask them anything about your nitty-gritty nonprofit life and get their wisdom for free. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just strapping on your nonprofit boots, we're here to share stories and remind you you're not alone on this journey. So get ready to join the conversation and bring me the tough questions. I ain't scared. Ready to rock? Let's dive in. Hey, welcome to this episode of Charity Therapy. I'm your host, Jess Birkin, and apparently I say shower weird.
We're going right into it. Hey.
Megan just told me that I say shower and she says I can hear you're from Wisconsin.
This is the ultimate
shower
divide is that, we're both Midwestern, but I grew up in Minnesota and Jess grew up in Wisconsin. And there's not that much of a difference sometimes. But every time she says shower, I'm just like, oh man, Wisconsin.
I don't say shower weird.
It's like shower.
You're saying everyone else says shower.
No, I say shower.
Shower.
Versus shower.
The more Minnesotan version is shower.
Do you,
more
I need to know if people hear the difference or if I'm crazy. Please write
tweet
back
at us.
Yeah.
Please get on the socials. Please write into the pod.
Because now I'm questioning my life.
Shower or shower?
Do you say shower?
Do you say shower?
No.
Shower.
Whatever.
Or
I really want to
shower.
know. Anyone who's not from the U.S. is like, shut up.
Please send me a voice note with how you pronounce the word shower.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Okay.
Now that we have that really
If you're
important
not
content.
from the U.S., please doubly send me a voice note because I want to hear your accent.
Yes, exactly. We have our own Midwest accent, but I want to hear everybody else's. Okay. Now that
All right, what are we actually doing?
the ultimate question. Okay, let's talk about compliance. Not actually. That's boring. But let's talk.
Oh, don't flip off the podcast right now.
I take it back. One of the things that we help with is compliance stuff, though, because no one likes to think about it. So for our clients, we're the ones that keep track of that. And we were sort of recently going over all the things that we help our clients keep track of. And one of the things that we help them remember that they need to file for is DBAs. And at first I was like, what the heck is a DBA? So Jess, what is a DBA?
A DBA, that's an acronym that stands for doing business as. Sometimes it will be referred to as an assumed name. It's like your business goes by two names. So you have your main name and then you have your other name. Like you have Prince and then you have whatever the symbol thing was.
Artist formerly known as Prince. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Very good. So you have to actually file for that at the state level, right?
Yes. So you can't have checks made out to your company by some other name because that name's not on your bank account. So the bank is like, you trying to steal somebody's money. What is that? So you need to register the assumed name to prove that you own that name, that you are doing business under that name so that your bank will take checks. But then also from a consumer protection standpoint, the state wants you to register any names that you're going by so that if you're like Shady McGee's Bad Fence Company, we rip off people who need fences. And then you start operating under Golden Angels Fences, All the Best Fences, Inc. People need to be able to figure out, oh, actually, Shady McGee owns this company.
The speed at which
Shady
you
McGee?
came up with that example was
You can't
unhinged.
see it, but Megan was squinting and shaking her head at me you are so freaking weird, Jess.
The commitment to that metaphor was unhinged.
It's just how I talk.
No, I
Megan.
like it.
You know
I
this.
do know this. It still surprises me sometimes.
What I'm willing to say on this microphone.
Yeah, really. Anyways,
So are we good? You know
we're
what
good.
an assumed name is?
Yep,
now?
that all
Okay.
makes sense. It's Great. So let's get into the listener question. So a person writes in and says, when does it make sense to file an assumed name? We recently did a legal name change with our articles of incorporation for the nonprofit, and our vice president suggested we file several assumed names. The old name of the organization, the acronym of our new name without the incorporated at the end of it, the name of one of our programs, etc. She suggested 8 filings in total. I'm worried that we're going to be wasting time and money keeping up with that many different assumed names. What do you think?
It's a little much. I was with them on the first couple, for sure, because anytime you change your name, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Because your bank account's probably in the old name. You got donors who are writing checks to you in the old name. You've got a lot of other weird accounts and things in the old name. So at least for a year, I think it makes sense to have a DBA in the old name. So there's no question, no problem. Just make that transition a little smoother. The acronym of our new name, I could get behind that, especially if it's we work with a lot of clients that, a lot of trade associations, they go by their acronym, you know? So people might make payments to the acronym.
Some organizations specifically choose their name because they like the way the acronym sounds.
Right.
You definitely have organizations where the acronym is a word and people might not realize that it is an acronym for something else.
It stands for something.
Yeah. And so then it's the people could reasonably get confused about the name of the organization. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And if that's the case for this organization and they use the acronym a lot, then I think that could make sense. Our new name without the ink at the end, though? No.
No one cares.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's silly. That's just silly. And then the name of one of our programs, it depends. If the name of the program is trademarked and maybe it's you're an organization and you have multiple summer camps and the parents at the end of the week want to make a donation to the camp and it's Camp Wowatan. That was my summer camp when I was growing up. It could make sense. But I wouldn't do it just cuz. You need to have a reason. Because to this listener's point, you're going to be keeping up on all these DBAs.
Yeah.
And as Megan has learned, it's a pain in the butt.
Yes, it is. It's all different filings for every single year. And I think the biggest thing here is, the ones that you were do that. It was for the reasons of it'll make your life internally easier because of bank problems or other problems, and or helps resolve any confusion that others may have about the nonprofit and where it's all going to. So it's if no one is confused about who is running this program and that all donations actually funnel back to the actual name of the organization, there's really no reason, Same with if the acronym is super obvious that this is who you're talking about, who cares? So it's don't do it just for the sake of doing it. But if there's actual real confusion or administrative problems that need to be resolved, then go for it. File a DBA, but don't do it just because.
And if you're doing it to smooth a transition, say you're going from best nonprofit ever to
as a name, not that you're going downhill.
Wiener Dog Rescue, it's just completely different, and you will just be going away from the old name. You can register the DBA and it'll expire probably after a year. And if that's okay, that it just expires and goes away after a year, fine. But if you are going to have to keep it up, you have a corporate registration you have to renew every year, and you will have to do the same for each and every assumed name.
Yeah.
And it's not that it takes a long time. It's just somebody's got to keep track of it. Somebody's got to remember to do it. And this is why our clients pay us the subscription dues to take care of these things for them, because more often than not, people are busy and this is not their most important thing and they forget. And then you lose all your DBAs and now you have to refile them.
And I mean, not that someone is just like waiting for you to lapse your registration. But if they do lapse and it is something you use all the time, there is like an actual potential that someone is like, I'm going to start a business with that name. Like, you don't have rights to that name anymore in your state. Like, you can't say, no, we're using that name and no one else can register a business of that name. So that it's silly and small on one hand, but it's also like easy to forget. And there could be something that comes negative out of it too. So it's just like, don't give yourself the headache if you don't have to.
Okay.
All right.
What are our takeaways, Megan?
Yeah, this is a pretty quick episode, but I think we covered it. So first of all, if a nonprofit or a business goes by multiple different names, you need to be registering those names with the state that the nonprofit or business is registered in. So doing that is a DBA or an assumed name filing. And it does come along with some like annual compliance to keep it up, just like everything else in the nonprofit world. And it's a good idea to file those assumed names when you have a real reason to, but you also do not need to think of every single variation on your name that might ever come to be and file those DBAs just because. It's not something that is required of you and will just give yourself more work and headache down the road. That being said, if you did change your name recently, filing a DBA for the old name might make your life a little bit easier in the transition. That's everything I had. Was there any other takeaways, Jess?
Nope. I think that's good. That is good. Just don't let this vice president be in charge of the DBAs because they want to do too many.
Yeah, right. And actually, I will just plug if there is a organization that is going through name changes right now. We had a really great episode a while back about branding through a name change. So I'll link it in the show notes. Go listen to that.
Put in the show notes. Folks, if you enjoyed this episode, do me a huge favor. Rate it, review it, share it with a friend. Do you have a vice president who wants to register 87 DBAs? Have an intervention. Let this podcast lead the way. It really helps us out if you share the pod. If you have a question or a story, please send it to charitytherapy.show. I would love to hear from you, and we'll catch you next time.